What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Mets Roundtable podcast. And give us 1 second because the other man in the audience here. There we go. All right, so Hector is here. Unfortunately, we got 3/4 of the Roundtable podcast, but we will hold it down for you and talk about our beloved Mets. And let's say what up to the guys on the Roundtable. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Mets avoid the sweep, always good in San Francisco, a place that always haunts them. Let's see how they continue this trend here with the St. Louis Cardinals coming up. I'm excited. Let's talk some Mets baseball here. Exciting night. We got the draft. We got the Knicks coming up as well. Exciting times right now. But let's talk a little bit about the New York Mets, and we always reserve time for our Mets, so let's do it.
Absolutely. Hector, what's up, boy?
Chilling, trying to get it together here, man. Trying to get it together. But
So,
yeah, man. Ready to go. And like Chris said, happy to we salvaged this 500 road trip. After started looking bad there for a little bit. But yeah, ready to go, man.
Absolutely. So the Mets are 13-11. They did salvage a road trip at the end of it. I mean, we were able to sign up for a 500 West Coast trip, and we did, even though it started off great, ended up kind of iffy. But 500 record on the West Coast trip is not the worst thing in the world. 2 games over 500, 7-3 in their last 10. But it could be a lot worse after starting as bad as we did. But so far so good. And as you can see in the West Coast trip, it's a hit or miss with the Mets. It's only April. The June swoon West Coast trip usually always derails this Mets team. But Hector, I'm going to start with you. What are some good things about the West Coast, and what are some bad things about the West Coast trip that you kind of had a keen eye for? You said it in a couple of your lives with your blunt thoughts. But say it here on the roundtable about some bad things and good things you've seen on the West Coast with the Mets.
I mean, obviously the obvious good thing is winning the first two from the Dodgers, right? That was obviously a good thing. Um, some of the play on the field, you like to see Severino pitch the way he did. Like to see Reed Garrett still be a force the way he was. Um, in the first couple of games offensively, out there were good. Then you had the last game where okay, you run into Glass now, you give him his props and all of that stuff. You had a desperate Dodgers team and all that. Um, so you brush that off, but then you have the first two with the Giants where it seemed like, oh man, where's this offense gone again and dying out. And obviously the other negative is just the starting pitching not being able to give us length. They're pitching well, just not giving us much length. Um, but yeah, just the overall, you just take the 3-3 500 record. But just a few things there. Trying to gather my thoughts here, but trying to think like individual guys that stand out. But I'm gonna say it right now, and I know we're gonna probably go into a back and forth. Just lastly, what we see just Francisco Lindor with that great game and hoping, everybody's like, oh, that's it, Francisco Lindor broke out. Well, we seen him have a good game like a week ago or so, whenever the heck it was, and it didn't really like continue. And not that he's gonna go 3 for 4, 4 for 5 every night, but good to see him be highly involved in us winning the last game and salvaging the road trip. So that's like the biggest positive, and hoping that now he can really continue it and really break out and have a good season like we all expect and know that he can have.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the Lindor thing, it's not even the 3 for 4. It's the way his at bats took place, right? He worked the counts. He looked more balanced at the plate, left-handed. Because right-handed, he's a superstar. Left-handed, he just looked balanced at the plate. And you brought up a good point. Like Lindor is the big part of this West Coast trip, in my opinion. He had that big game or that big 2-run homer against the Dodgers, and he performed well in the Giants series. And obviously yesterday he really showed up. And it's good to see Lindor, especially coming back home. Who knows with the standing ovations and all that stuff, if that's going to continue. I know Hector's a big fan of that, by the way.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I completely agree with you with that. Chris, I want to get your thoughts on the West Coast trip. You got a couple of bad, a couple of good things you want to talk about?
I mean, they salvaged it, right? That's the most important thing. Love to see the whole Lindor situation. Obviously, just looking a lot better. Average up over 200, OPS above 650 now. Like to get those numbers keep climbing, keep climbing. Obviously, it's not May just yet, right? We all know that he's a perpetual late starter, which is fine. At the end of the day, the offense is holding it down. But I think we're starting to get like the mold of this team. And I'm starting to see a picture of what this team truly is, right? This team has a maybe middle of the pack starting rotation. I'll say maybe middle of the pack, right? Maybe that boosts up a little bit. It's not going to be top 10, even with Kodai Senga there, but it's middle of the pack. They're not going to get you 6, 7 innings. I think that if we're all hoping and praying that turns around in May, June, I think that your hopes are just not going to be answered and your prayers are not going to be answered. Like this starting rotation is going to give you 5 innings, and they're more than likely going to keep you in the ball game. But I think the X factor now has to become the offense. You see it as soon as the Mets stop scoring runs, right? Two-run ball games, right? Just 2 runs of offense is not going to win the Mets any games this season. It's going to take 4, 5, 6 runs, and obviously that could be true of any team. But when you had maybe your Verlanders, right? I know that he had a decently okay season after coming back from the injury, but when you had your Verlanders, when you had your DeGroms, you could win right with only 2 runs because they'll probably give you a 1-run ball game out there on the mound over 5 or 6 innings. That's not going to be the case with this starting pitching. They'll give you 3, 4 runs or they'll let up 3, 4 runs, and then the offense has to do the rest, which is not a problem because this offense, right, with the way it's constructed, should be scoring those amounts of runs anyways. But I think that we're starting to see the true identity of this team. Starting pitching is going to do what they're going to do. That's been consistent, and that's going to remain consistent. The bullpen's going to have to pick up the slack there early on in the 6th inning and beyond, which they have done so far. So hopefully that trend continues. And the offense, the consistency and the sustainability of the offense is what's going to either drive or sink the New York Mets in 2024. And we're starting to see that trend as well. And I was sort of waiting to see what the starting pitching had for us over the long haul here over the first month, but I really am just sort of accepting at this point, listen, if we get 6 innings from any pitcher, it's going to be a miracle. I'm expecting 5 innings. I'm expecting these pitchers to keep us in the ball game. And you can call me crazy for settling, but at this point, with guys like Adrian Hauser, Jose Quintana, who's on the back burner of his career, Sean Manaea, who obviously is having a great season so far, great turnaround season, but we don't know what the sustainability with him is going to be. I think we have to take the wins where they come, and 5 innings of keeping your offense in the ball game is where you're going to have to take those wins. Sean Manaea, another great job battling. The efficiency wasn't there. We went live for the in-game live stream, Rob. I'm just starting to see the true identity of this team. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. All I'm saying is that we're going to have to settle here and there, and other guys, in part like the bullpen, are going to have to step up. Your Reed Garrett's, they're not going to be able to falter. Your Drew Smiths, like they can't have bad seasons if this team wants to be where we all expect them to be, because they're going to have to pick up the slack of the starting pitching. So, like I said, not negative in any way. I'm just saying that the true identity of this team is starting to reveal itself. And that's what this West Coast trip really revealed to me as a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, we're going to need the length, but we're not going to get the length. It's just not going to happen. I mean, thank God we have a plethora of bullpen arms that you can use on a daily basis, and Stearns did a great job with that. And I think he knew with the guys he brought in with the rotation that he wasn't going to get a lot of length. So what did he do? He stockpiled bullpen arms from in the minors and guys that can go multiple innings in the bullpen on the roster right now. So that's where he's working with right now. Look, this rotation can get you through a season. It's just when you get to the playoffs, you're going to need 1 or 2 of those guys to give you a little bit more length. Even though the Texas Rangers showed you how you can go pitch 5 innings with all your starters. And if you look at the World Series, they had one guy go 6 innings, everybody else go 5 or less, and they won the World Series. So it's not a exact, method to winning, but you would like length because eventually you would get that 6th inning, 7th inning start from one of your starters. And guess what? It helps your bullpen and it rests them so you don't have to use 5, maybe 6 every night. So, Chrissy, I do agree with you with that. The length is going to be a problem, but like you said, I agree with you. Heck, I don't know if you agree with that, but I agree with the whole.
Absolutely. The only thing I'll say to that is, when you talk about looking forward to the playoffs, I don't think we really need to worry about that. Like, if we get there, it's great. But we also know that this probably is not going to be the final rotation or even the final roster if we do make it there, right? There'll be a trade here. We may see one of these young guys actually come up and be a player. Who knows who that is? I'm not going to mention any names. So, no, I agree with you guys with the concerns. So far the bullpen is good. I do worry that this is you mentioned that my post, but this is something I've been talking about. I worry that this bullpen or the starting rotation doesn't cause enough damage to the bullpen that it derails our season like it did last year, because that's kind of how the season went. Like, we could talk about the Edwin Diaz thing and all the other stuff, but really, we would have got better starting pitching and not kill our bullpen so bad. Maybe it would have been a little bit different. So I'm hoping that we don't go along the same lines. But I also do have faith that I think we have enough in the minors that we can try to fill in here and there, and still hoping that Kodak comes back. Not that Kodak's gonna come back and start giving us 7 innings, but but I totally agree with you guys. I just wouldn't worry as far as the playoffs because sheesh, I don't even know. I don't know what that was. I don't even know if the next month we'll be seeing the same rotation. You understand what I'm saying? Like they can. I don't think these guys will wait around and let the rotation derail the season if we keep playing the way that this team is playing. You know what I'm saying? Because the team is playing well, and you could see that if the team gets pitching, like CP said, like Chris said, they can win games. You know what I'm saying? But we're just not gonna win 2-0, 2-1 every day, and we don't have that horse to do it every 5 days or every couple of days or whatever. But can I say one thing that I missed that I give Oliver credit that he mentioned, man? I think the main positive, not only from this trip, but mainly from the trip, because I think he cemented it, man. Marte is back. Yeah, Marte is back. As long as he's healthy, we got nothing to worry about starting Marte. Forget about slow swing and none of that stuff. But go ahead, Rob.
And I love the fact that they brought him back in the 2-hole right when we started that winning streak and went on that 12 out of 15 stretch. They brought him back in the 2-hole. Marte loves the 2-hole. He just performs better there, and he's healthy. And that's the important thing. But I want to go back with
Chris. But I didn't have a problem with him having to earn it back up there. You know what I'm saying?
I know that. Absolutely. But I like that Mendoza realized when he started to get up a little bit, he's like, we got to put him in that 2 spot because he's best there. If that's what but he did earn it, so that's a good thing. But I wanted to go back with Minaya with the rotation about the length. And what people have been talking about, I know, Hector, you brought it up as well. A couple other people are talking about Adrian Hauser out of the rotation or somebody else out of the rotation, bringing up the young kids. Well, what do you think you're going to get from the young kids? Because they might be really good, but you will get 5 innings from them and not much more. They're not going to extend these guys at all. So you're going to bring up these guys that are going to be pitching 5 innings anyway right now, and they're going to limit their innings for the season for sure. They're not going to overwork them. And you might not have him for late in the season. So, like I said, would I want Christian Scott up here? Absolutely. But he's going to give you the same 5 innings that Adrian Hauser and Jose Quintana or anybody else is going to give you in this rotation right now. But, he might, maybe shut down another lineup. Maybe. But even if he pitches well, you're not going to keep him into the 6th inning and 7th inning. So you're bringing these guys up that are not going to give you length anyway. Now, bringing up Christian Scott in June, maybe July, now you can extend those innings a little bit. So I think that's a bigger problem that nobody really talked about. People just say, Christian Scott dominated in AAA. That's wonderful. But he's going to give you 5 innings. So I want people to understand that you're going to get the 5 innings regardless of what type of performance you're going to get on the mound. Okay, Chris.
I have 2 questions for you all. Actually, one's a statement, one's a question. The first one, my statement is, I think when you talk about Adrian Hauser moving to the bullpen, right, a lot of speculation surrounding that after a slow start from Adrian Hauser. I believe his ERA is up to like 7.45, something like that. I think that because Tyler McGill and that experiment of Tyler McGill in the bullpen already failed, and the Mets tried that in seasons past, and he just didn't look quite right out of the bullpen, I think that there is nothing to lose for the New York Mets to bring Tyler McGill back into this rotation and try out Adrian Hauser out of the bullpen, because you know that McGill, if he has a spot in this team, it's not going to be in the bullpen. It's going to be in a starting rotation. If he's not in a starting rotation, he's going to be in the minor leagues. So I guess my question is to you, Rob, before I pose my other question, would you consider that if Tyler McGill comes back, and when he does, would you move him to the starting rotation and then move Hauser to the bullpen?
Yes, because Tyler McGill has the possibility of going 6 innings, maybe 7 once in a blue moon. And there's no innings limit on him. If he's pitching well, you're going to keep him in. Christian Scott can be pitching a perfect game. They're taking him out in the 5th inning, maybe 6 if the pitch count is low. So I would rather do that. Now, I'm not mad at Adrian Hauser getting moved out of the rotation. I don't have a problem with that. But if you replace him with somebody who can actually provide length, I'm okay with. So and at least can have no limit on how many pitches. Like if he's at 65 pitches, they got to take him out. I'd rather that, even though McGill isn't something to go crazy about and get excited about, but it might help the overall team with Hauser as a long man. But that's if you bring in Tyler McGill or David Peterson when he comes back, or even Joey Lucchesi for that matter, who's been pitching well in AAA. So I don't know if Hector heard that, but if he wants to.
No, I heard you guys. And to me, listen, I don't know. I mean, I guess because he's doing well and we saw him in spring training. So as soon as you say, because even when I said it, yeah, Adrian Hauser is probably playing his way out of this rotation, immediately he's like, oh, why do you want to bring Christian Scott? I didn't say bring up Christian Scott. Yeah, on another post, I said Christian Scott is playing his way up to the major leagues. Yes, on a separate, but I'm not saying that means you got to bring him up for his next start. You know what I mean? And now I understand the concerns about the innings and all of that, but I don't know if it's going to be a hard 5 innings. He's out. You know what I'm saying?
I think it will be.
I get
no limit. He's very picky with that with his young kids. If you look at it,
I know they'll limit his innings, but it doesn't mean you're only going to go 5 to every single start. You understand what I'm saying? I think they'll go game by game, and maybe he won't be available at the end of the season, but he'll help us get there. And then it'll suck that he helps you get there, but you can't use him at the end of the season. But like I said, hopefully by then you've made some trades, whatever.
I don't want a Matt Harvey situation.
Well, that was totally different. That was because
I know, but you just imagine they're like, oh, we can't pitch Christian Scott anymore. Oh yeah, here, David Peterson, come on in, fill that rotation spot. People will go nuts in August and September. People will go nuts.
No, of course.
Yeah, exactly. But
I understand that, but you know what? That's a problem.
To avoid
that's a problem I wouldn't mind having, though, Rob. But another thing is, though, when you say he's going to give you the same 5 innings, no, because I believe he's going to pitch to a better ERA than 7. You understand what I'm saying? So
he might, but again, you will go nuts if he's throwing a 1-hitter, gave up no runs, and it's the 5th inning with 75 pitches, and they're taking them out of the ball game. Even though you might trust the bullpen, but they're not gonna keep him in the ball game.
That's gonna happen with 99% of pitchers in baseball, whether they're rookies or not. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm going to go nuts regardless.
Innings limit with him, though. That's the problem.
I understand that. And again, I'm not saying he has to come up now, but you keep telling me I'm going to go nuts with these scenarios. And I'm telling you, that could happen with Kodai Senga. That could happen with Sean Manaea. And I'm still going to go nuts. You understand what I'm saying? Because nobody goes long in these games anymore. Like, they pull all these pitches out.
Chris tell him the question again. So I said, I agree with that, but ask him the question.
I guess at face value, without any further explanation, Adrian Hauser to the bullpen and Tyler McGill comes back into the rotation. If you try that, because Tyler McGill already proved that he can't come out of the bullpen. That's a lost cause already. So would you make that swap?
Damn, you guys want to make these definitive
judgments.
You think McGill can't be a reliever? Because I think he's actually more suited for a reliever, probably in the long run.
Well, they tried it out. McGill showed that he was incompetent out of the bullpen. That wasn't a good showing at all from the bullpen. So I mean, maybe they try it again. I'm not saying they won't, but I'm saying just like if history repeats itself and they pull the plug on that, you know what I mean?
Right. No, but listen, honestly, I just like I'm saying, I wouldn't say he can't be a reliever. I'm also, and even though I think that that's probably what he'll end up being eventually, I'm also not sure I'm willing to say he can't be a starter. So I could understand them wanting to go to McGill one more time and putting Hauser in the bullpen. McGill is the younger guy, still has probably the higher ceiling than Hauser. So I get all of that. And honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to it. McGill will also be on the short leash. You know what I'm saying? He'll be on the short leash.
Lucchesi and Peterson that are, Lucchesi's pitching well and Peterson's coming back soon. So.
Yeah, and that's another guy I was going to mention. How come nobody mentioned, and I haven't checked what he's doing, but how come no one mentions Lucchesi? When we talk about maybe Hauser going to the bullpen role, you know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you why.
You get it, Chris.
I'll tell you why. And this goes back to my points that I was trying to make all off season, right? This is a sticky situation that the Mets are going to find themselves in. And this is why Christian Scott might be up sooner than we all think. At least if it were up to me, that's why I would bring him up, is because you got a rotation that you have question marks, at least 2 or 3 spots you have question marks in the off season about who's filling those spots. you need to get a feel for Christian Scott because he's not getting any younger. We're not talking about a 21, 22-year-old prospect. We're talking about a 25-year-old prospect in Christian Scott. This kid is going to have to show what he's made of before seasons end. And I'm not talking about playoffs, all that, because that's obviously a question mark if we even get there. He needs to showcase himself, and the Mets need to give him the opportunity to showcase himself to see how confident they are and to judge what ceiling he has for the next season. And you can't do that if Peterson's clogging up a rotation spot. You can't do that if Tyler McGill's clogging up a rotation spot. So my question would be, with the way the bullpen is shaking out and how strong it is, would you get rid of one of the bullpen spots, carry 6 bullpen arms, and when Kodai Senga comes back, maybe, I don't think it's ever been done before, maybe not in recent memory, go to like a 7-man hybrid rotation, something like that, because you got to get this kid innings. Like, I'm just trying to figure out a way in my head to get this kid innings without booting just straight up like a Tyler McGill or booting an Adrian Hauser out of here. You know what I mean? It's a very tough rotation that they're staring at in the face because you can't sit here and end the season without seeing Christian Scott for a long period of time and getting a good sample size on him. So that's my only point on that.
They might do that. You know why? Because because when Senga comes back, you're gonna limit his innings, of course. And Christian Scott, you're clearly gonna limit his innings. So, I guess you could do that. And then maybe McGill might be that long man every now and then, like if one of the starters don't go, might go 4 innings and you might need a little bit of length from a bullpen guy. McGill, instead of making his next start, will go pitch that long man role in that game or something like that. So you have options there. But I mean, they could do that. Again, Stearns, Stearns is very unique with the way he develops the pitching staff and the way he works it. Right, he always has next man available, next man up. I wouldn't be shocked if Stearns does that because he's been excellent with putting pitching staffs together. They might not be the greatest arms and they might not have the greatest years last year, but he figures ways to work a staff out, bullpen or rotation, and has a mixture of those guys that work together. And it works. It worked with the Brewers for 7-8 years, and he's trying to do that with the Mets in year 1 right now. And it's been pretty decent, not great, but been pretty decent. So I think they could do that, Chris. I just wonder if they're gonna just take away a bullpen arm because the bullpen has been so good, and you kind of limit Mendoza in the bullpen a little bit more. You kind of shrink his choices, and I think I guess it's not a bad thing, I guess, but I don't know. It could just be Hauser going to the bullpen and Christian Scott going out, possibly.
And then you just say F you to Peterson and McGill and just say sit down in the minor leagues. I mean, that if it shook out like that, I wouldn't be mad at all. But I'm just saying that there's too many personnel here, and the Mets have too many options and not enough roster spots at the end of the day in terms of the pitching.
You know what? I trust Stearns. I'll give my thoughts and opinions, but I trust him to make the right decisions, regardless of what they are. Even if I don't agree with it, how can I get mad at a guy that has proven to work a pitching staff throughout a season, and it's been successful? It's hard to kill it, Anyway,
back to that, and to back that point up with what Hector was saying earlier in the stream, giving a little bit of a resemblance of last year when the bullpen got taxed early and they started to falter. I really think Stearns has done a good job to make sure that won't be the case, no matter if the starting pitching goes 6 or 7 innings and gives the bullpen rest. I think that the emergence of a guy like Reed Garrett, maybe a little bit of a better season consistently with Drew Smith, and maybe you bring up some of the other guys. We haven't seen I don't know. I don't want to say Shintaro Fujinami because obviously he's a wild card, but like a Nate Lavender, you have guys that can come in here and prove to be additional depth so that if guys do get burnt out, right, or someone does go down via injury because there's just overusage, then you're not really faltering at the end of the day like the 2023 roster did. But that still remains to be seen. The jury's still out on that. All I'm just saying is that the way Stearns has built this roster this offseason, and mind you, this is only his first offseason as the Pobo/GM. We'll see. I'm sure they're going to hire a GM, but he's still going to be making those decisions. This bullpen and the depth behind it, not only in the major league roster, but the minor league rosters and the farm system, looks night and day different than last year. So, yeah, all props to him, man.
Yeah, it is interesting though, but yeah, I kind of think that he's just gonna, he has a plan for every scenario. I said that, a couple of pre-games ago. He has a plan, so I'm not really worried about that, heck, it's interesting because like I think what they doing with the bullpen, like when they're giving a guy a day off no matter what, and they're saying, hey, if the B guys got to go to win us a ball game, they're going with the B guys in the bullpen to win us a ball game. It's if Edwin Diaz, Ottavino, and let's say Diekman is not available, well, guess what? You're going to have the other guys, your lower tier bullpen arms, got to do the job. The Lopez's, the Drew Smiths, those type of guys. And I love that they do that because you're resting guys no matter what. Even if it's an emergency situation, you're going to go with your B guys. We saw it with in the Dodgers series where they won a ball game with their B guys, and they've done it all year. So now it's a crazy philosophy, but it's a successful philosophy. Heck, so do you think it's been, you like the way Stearns is doing it and the way they're managing the bullpen where guys are getting actual days off regardless of the scenario they're in that game? They're giving guys day off. If all the A guys are off, the B guys are going to be the ones stepping up to win a ball game for us. Do you like that, heck?
No, of course. What's there not to like? I mean, and obviously while it's working, you can't really argue it. But like I said, what I would like is for and the game dictates it, right? But if you can try to stay away from using all the big guys on the same day so that they're not all unavailable on the same days, that would be ideal. But you manage the game at hand, and so far so good. Like I said, as long as the players keep executing, then the moves look good. Stearns looks good, Mendoza looks good. You know what I mean? But it's up to the players to keep executing. And so far, for the most part, they have. We saw, Drew Smith, who we still don't know what the heck he is. He gives us some good, he gives us some bad. But
he's been really good though. Like he had like 1 or 2 outings. But for the most part, he's been good over the first 24 games.
Yeah, no. He's been good. He still frightens me, and I still, like I said before in these round tables, there's just that game. You know what I'm saying? There's that like you got to get through this. I know you've been great, but you can't blow this one, and that's where I worry about guys like Drew Smith and Ottavino. You know what I'm saying?
Like just waiting for that slider to hang, huh?
Yeah. Like, most other guy, you see a Brooks Raley coming, like, let's get the job done. You know what I'm saying? It's like a different vibe for me. I'm still rooting for these guys. I'm still pushing for them, but it's just a different vibe when those two guys come in because I still got to see them consistently in those spots. It's just those spots. When you know them, you're going to think about me like, I think this is the spot that Hank is talking about.
So you don't like Ottavino's intro song, right? When he comes in, that's your problem. Not the pitching, really. Right?
I don't even know what the hell his intro song is. To be honest with you,
it's actually pretty good. I don't know the name of the song.
No, I kind of do like it. Now that I think about it, I don't know what it is.
It's pretty good vibe. If it was Diaz, it'd be cool. But it's Ottavino. You're like, oh shit, not him again.
No.
You look sharp though in that game though, Rob. I'll say that. Adam Ottavino tossed one of the most impressive innings I've seen so far in that Giants game. But by the way, the chat's also pointing out the obvious here as we're on the pitching topic, and we saw this during this West Coast trip. The walks got to clean up, man. The walks got to clean up, and the efficiency of the counts, man. Rob, we talked about it. I talk about throwing competitive pitches when you're ahead in the count. Good lineups are not going to chase. You can't waste pitches, and you can't let the hitter get back to an even count or a hitter's count. Too many times I've seen Sean Manaea is not the only one guilty of it. Jose Quintana is guilty of it. Luis Severino is guilty of it. And some of the bullpen guys are as well. When they're 0-2, 1-2, they love to waste these pitches. I'm not saying throw it down the middle or anywhere in the strike zone, but make it competitive to at least maybe get the hitter to bite. Throwing a ball 2 feet off the plate is not going to get a hitter to bite. And all of a sudden, you're working like a 3-2 count and maybe a walk, or you're just lengthening the at-bat when it's not necessary. So that's what I want to see the Mets pitchers get better at, is just the efficiency, man.
And heightening your pitch count, too. You know what I'm saying? Look at Manaea the other day. He got himself into a little trouble there, nibbling. And then he attacked these guys, gets himself 2 pop-ups, gets out of the inning. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, just do that, man. Trust your stuff. Trust your defense. And attack these hitters and stop messing around. And that'll help with what we're talking about. Maybe these guys being able to get into finishing the 6th inning and maybe even touching the 7th inning. Think about that.
Yep, absolutely. So the Mets come back home after the West Coast trip. They got the Cardinals, they got the Cubs, 2 Central NL Central teams. The Cardinals have been struggling. Nolan Arenado has been hitting the cover off the ball. Paul Goldschmidt only has like 3 extra base hits on the year. He's getting up there in age. He looks old right now. Besides Sonny Gray, the Cardinals are struggling right now, and the Mets do face Sonny Gray on Adrian Hauser's day, as you can see. So that's going to be interesting. But they got Michaelis, they got Lynn. Guys that the Mets can beat up on. Gray is going to be tough, but they got Budo, they got Quintana, and Hauser. I think he's going to bounce back. As I said after that Dodger game, as me and Hector went back and forth on X mostly about it, but I think Hauser's going to bounce back. He's not a guy that's going to shut down the Dodgers or the Braves, but he'll give you a quality start against the Cardinals and the Tigers and, teams that are in the middle of the pack or worse. He'll give you a quality start and keep your team in the ballgame. But with the Cardinals, right, I think the Mets are a better team, just flat out. I think we've seen the first, 3 weeks of the season, or give or take. I think the Mets are a better team. I don't care what the paper says. I don't care what the stats say. The way I've been watching, because I watch a lot of Cardinal games because I'm always fascinated by the Cardinals, even though I hate them. I watch them a lot for some odd reason. I do. They don't do anything particularly well. Like if you have to pinpoint something, like we know the Mets, their bullpen is their best asset, right? We can pinpoint that. The Cardinals bullpen, not very good. The offense, not very good. The starting rotation, besides Gray, not very good. So they don't do nothing very well. So the Mets can lose this series by beating themselves. And let's hope that does not happen. Coming back home, you're going to have the black jerseys on Friday. You're going to get the City Connects first time this year on Saturday. Again, jersey's not a big thing, but fans are going to talk about it a lot. But, Chris, what does the Mets have to do to take a series against – I'm not going to go sweep. I'm not going to – winning series can easily get you to 90 wins up most of the series. Let's not go about the win total, but what do the Mets have to do against the Cardinals to be successful in this homestand?
Take advantage of a struggling Miles Michaelis, man. He's got over a 7 ERA as well. Win the game 1. The Mets have been doing a great job of setting the tone in the series, winning game 1. Obviously, outside of the Giants series, they did against the Dodgers, the Braves, etc. The Pirates, and good things happened thereafter. So, Carlos, if you're looking for a sweep, the Cardinals always play the Mets tight. It's always a pesky team to go against. I know some of their guys really aren't hitting their full potential here early on to the season. Nolan Gorman is struggling. Mason Wynn is also hitting the cover off the ball. Wilson Contreras is having a decent year as well to start off. So they have talent on the offensive side. Sonny Gray is pitching to like a 1.04 ERA here very early. And Lance Lynn, not too shabby himself, at a 2.28 ERA, I believe. Listen, I say take game 1. Obviously, the pitching matchup goes into the Cardinals' advantage in game 2, Gray versus Hauser. Would be great to take the first 2, but I really think the offense just needs to come alive. Show them that you are not joking around on Friday night. It's an Apple TV Plus game. It sucks. We hate it. I hate it, but that's what it is, to be honest with you. I'd love to see those beautiful black jerseys. I love them. I know this is an unpopular opinion amongst some Mets fans, but I love the black jerseys. I have no doubt that City Connects are going to look fire on the field as well. Listen, you can't wear those jerseys and falter against the Cardinals, especially when they're doing so bad right now. So, listen, man, Miles Michaelis, that game 1 is really going to be telling for the rest of the series to me. Jump on him early. He's struggling. And I do believe, I don't have any statistics to support this, but to the eye test, whenever Miles Michaelis takes the mound against the Mets usually work his count, and they usually get him out of the ballgame pretty quickly the last couple of go-rounds that I've watched him pitch against the Mets. So, like I said, there's no excuse not to win this series. I'm never going to predict a sweep. Because especially against a Cardinals team that just gives the Mets fits for no apparent reason, right? But nonetheless, I mean, you're talking about even like the Paul DeJong days, and like even when Harrison Bader's on that squad, like it was just a rough to watch, and the Cardinals were always just very pesky and annoying. But nonetheless, like I said, take game 1, and then we'll talk from there on the pregame shows, because that game 1 is going to reveal a lot about this series to me. Hopefully Quintana can turn it around as well. The efficiency of Jose Quintana, like, it was not a great game against the San Francisco Giants, but he's another guy that usually keeps the team in the ball game. So I'm actually curious what he's going to do against that Cardinals lineup. But like I said, I think that the Cardinals lineup, I'm going to disagree with you, Rob. I don't think that they're as bad as they're playing right now. I think that they have a potential to wake up, and that offense definitely has talent. Most of them haven't just woken up yet, beside the guys that we just named. So we'll see, man. I'm actually very hyped for this series. And I think that the Mets still are the better team, right? Through and through. I think the Cardinals aren't reaching their full potential, but I think the Mets are better for sure. Game 1 is what you got to take. And honestly, I'm a Jose Butto fan. I'm going to say this right now.
Who is it?
Besides Kodai saying in its rotation, I truly think, okay, listen, I'm a big Severino guy as well. I like Luis Severino. Jose Butto probably is up there, top 3 of my favorite pitchers on this team, because that guy's an absolute freaking warrior, man. Shout out to Jose Butto every single time he takes the mound, regardless if he has his A stuff or not. You know you can at least get 5 out of him, maybe even push 6, and he usually gets better as the game goes on. When he doesn't have his best stuff, he'll struggle in the first and second innings, work around jams, and then get progressively better in the 4th and 5th innings, maybe even the 6th if we're lucky. So I liked Jose Butto versus Miles Michaelis in that matchup. And like I said, it'd be great. It's always great to beat the Cardinals. And that's really what I'm watching out for. But the offense, man, the offense needs to provide this series. And if they do, we'll be good, as we've seen in the last couple series outside the Giants.
Absolutely, and I know we like Jose Butto and cannot lie, right? I think that was Hector's little.
No, that was
you. I was trying to give you credit, man.
No, that was a good one. I don't want to steal nobody's shine. But listen, and we're talking about getting length from our starters and stuff like that. That might be the guy that they may want to try and push a little bit, and that we may look to try to get us into that 7th inning because he's young. He has the stuff for it. I think he has the mind for it. I think that might be the guy that we neglected to mention before when we talk about, trying to get guys to go into the 6th, 7th inning. But just overall, man, listening to you guys, and I'm just thinking back, and I talked about it before. You want to make sure it's a good team that you don't fall into these long slumps, right, or these long losing streaks. And we kind of flirted with it there, right, with a 3-game losing streak. So now when I look going forward now with the Cardinals, I'm thinking I don't give a damn what the Cardinals are doing.
Yeah,
I'm concerned with what we're doing. Go out there and play Mets baseball. Continue to play Mets baseball. You know what I'm saying? And get back on the right track and get back into winning and go out and win another series. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go on another 6-game, 7-game winning streak. It'll be good to have one of those, maybe next month, maybe even longer. But you want to continue to win series, and you don't want to go and lose. I don't like losing 3 in a row, but don't lose more than that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm looking at. The Cardinals could be doing whatever they're doing. Michael is like CP mentioned. I kind of remember us touching them up recently. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm looking for. And I think, we look bad there. And sometimes the pitching does that, right? As much as I talk nonsense in my videos and stuff about, get it done. I don't give a damn who's pitching. Yeah, the pitching can do that. So it looked like maybe the hitters was getting out of there what we've been doing, but no. The way that they've been hitting overall, the approach overall, I still like it. And go out there and take that same approach into this weekend. And like you guys said, man, you don't want to go out there with the black jerseys whom I have a love-hate relationship with. They look beautiful. I love the black jerseys, the way they look, right? I hate the way we play in them. It just reminds me of losing for some reason. It reminds me of losing. I think we've lost too many games in them. And maybe I'm wrong. We could look up the record someday or whatever. We could discuss that. And then you definitely don't want to lose. And listen, guys, we made fun of it a little bit. We dismissed it. The City Connects. Yo, props to the Mets. Props to whoever put that together. Hell of a job. Those jerseys look sweet. The hat looks sweet. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not a big, New Jersey guy and stuff like that. I actually might try to get me a jersey, or I got to get me one of them shirts or something. And because I'm losing my hair or lost my hair, I might as well start wearing hats. So that might be the first hat I get. Because I really like them. For someone who was dismissing it, who doesn't care about what the hell they wear, just go out there and win me some ball games. Props on the City Connect jerseys for sure.
I was concerned about the purple. I thought they were going to overdo it with the purple.
Yeah. Come out here looking like Barney and shit.
Purple. Just enough purple where
it's good.
Yeah, it's more that it feels like New York a little bit, to be honest with you. I think it really does.
Hey, gents, I don't mean to interject here, but one name that we totally failed to neglect to mention. I hope we're on the same page here, but it's Mr. Tyrone Taylor, dude. You got to give Tyrone Taylor props. That man That man sat 2 days, the first 2 days against the Giants, the first 2 games against the Giants, and he comes out and is absolutely clutch. That man, I know we're getting JD Martinez back, which is going to help this offense, but I still trust Tyrone Taylor. I'm going to die on this hill. I know Harrison Bader has had a good start to his season. I trust Tyrone Taylor offensively more than Harrison Bader. I know that Tyrone Taylor is supposed to be a fourth outfielder by design on this team, but with the way he's swinging the bat, if we are missing Francisco Alvarez's presence in the bottom of that lineup, right? Jeff McNeil obviously anchoring in there at the 7th hole, but you're teetering guys like Wendell, Narvaez, Nito. It's like not the prettiest 8-9 combination. Tyrone Taylor's that guy to play every single day if you need more offense. And honestly, doesn't even need to be an outfield. Plug and play him at DH. I don't care if there's righty or lefty on the mound. I'm good on DJ Stewart. I would rather see Tyrone Taylor out there. I don't care what the matchup is. That's all I'm going to say. Shout out Tyrone Taylor.
You say it doesn't have to be in the outfield. It has to be in the outfield because this is when I was going to bring up Tyrone Taylor. And props to him because he's been great. And I understand Mendy's talking about, keeping him fresh and not overworking him, whatever. Why? I don't know. Maybe he's dealing with something. I don't need to see Jeff McNeil in left field. So if the option is Jeff McNeil in left field, give me Tyrone Taylor. We don't need to listen, and I love McNeil. And he was great out there for years when we needed him to, and he's a competent outfielder. But I'm sorry, he needed to catch that fly ball in that Severino game. He needed to catch that fly ball. And maybe if he catches that, it's a different inning. And if on a team where you have 4 competent outfielders, 4 above average outfielders, there is no need to put Jeff McNeil out there. I don't give a damn about splits. I don't care about trying to throw a bunch of lefties in there against who I forget who the hell against Logan Webb. I don't want to hear none of that crap. You talk to me about run prevention being the main thing with this team. Well, give me Tyrone Taylor out there. Plus, he's playing well. Look what you do. You play him the next day and look what he does. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, no, I agree with you. Props to Tyrone Taylor. We need to see him out there a lot more. But hey, like you said, there was a time we were saying, oh man, maybe Tyrone Taylor should be playing over Beta, but shouts to Beta. Listen, shouts to all these guys, man. They all play well, except for freaking Brandon Nimmo, who needs to wake the hell up.
I was just going to talk about Brandon,
who's on his way to waking up.
So, who do you think roster spot? Chris, I think you brought this up, or somebody else did. I think you answered on X. Who do you think is going to be the odd man out on the roster when JD Martinez plays tomorrow? Gets put on the roster. Is it Short?
I think they were talking more in terms of a pitcher coming back. I said Sean Reed Foley would be that guy to make room for a pitcher, but for offense, I think it's Short. I don't think that he serves any other purpose, and I don't think that they're gonna let go of Wendell being that lefty bat, which playing matchups with Joey Wendell is so pointless anyways because he just doesn't hit anything well, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not sold on Joey Wendell at all. He'll get you a couple of hits here and there, but he's not a game changer whatsoever. Listen, there was a good story on Zach Short.
He was a game changer, though, Chris. I'm sorry. He got us a big hit and helped us win the game. That's a game changer, man.
He did. But come on, like consistently, Hector, you know where I'm going with this. No, I feel you though.
I'm just messing with you. No, but he has got a couple of big hits, and we know he's mainly there for that defense. That veteran guy. But I agree. He probably be the one to win out over Short. My bad.
Well, I think Zach Short, he looks like a hitter when he goes up there with no batting gloves.
Oh my goodness, he looks like he should be playing in the 1920s or something. I don't know.
I want to talk about Brandon Nimmo a little bit because he's the one. Now everybody's been talking about Lindor, and he's been hovering like it's been a non-story about Nimmo unless you're really, really into it. I know Hector talked about it. I know me and you, Chris, talked about it on our streams as well. But nobody's really talking about it enough. Everybody couldn't wait to get on Lindor, but Nimmo got a pretty damn good big contract as well, and he is starting to worry me a lot. The walks that I still want to see from Nimmo, right? You can tell me about the power all you want. Fine, no problem. But I'm telling you right now, Nimmo starts hitting for power, it's going to hurt the entire team. Because I'm telling you this right now, I need Nimmo, his on base, his walk. Now, again, he's going to hit his home runs, but if he can hit 15 to 20 home runs, that's more than enough. Especially getting him on base is key. With a hot Marte, with Lindor who's starting to get going, and Alonso who's always ready to hit a big bomb, you got to get on base. Nimmo's starting to worry me a little bit because he doesn't look confident at the plate anymore. Like, he's taking pitches. He took 2 pitches right down the middle yesterday that I wanted to punch my TV. Like, that's how pissed off I got about with him yesterday. Like, he's not confident at the plate. I know that might be a struggle, but Nimmo, I don't know. He's getting up there in age, and I worry about his injury status as well a little bit, if something's bothering him, because we know in his career he's been injury prone. Not lately, but he's been injury prone. That's why they moved him to left field to keep him healthy. But Hector, I'm going to ask you, are you concerned about Brandon Nimmo? Because I don't know if his swing is different, but it might be confidence, it might be batting stance, it might not be timing, whatever. But he is scaring me because he's the one guy that if he doesn't get on base, this team struggles to score runs. And the big guys after him need him on base to do some damage. So what do you think, Hector? You worry about Nimmo?
Concerned, worried? No. Just like I wasn't concerned or worried about Lindor. No, I just want him to do better because I know they can do better. I don't think Nimmo's nursing any injury or anything like that. I think he still may be caught in between what he was trying to do last year, which was hit for power, try to maximize power, damage, or whatever the hell it was, and then now just still being able to do that and picking your spots, but just be more of a hitter. And I think he's still caught up in trying to figure that out himself, and implement that in the games. I don't think there's a reason to be concerned or worried about him at all.
He's only had maybe 2 games where he really did something offensively, like a lot. Like the majority of his home runs, his RBIs came within like 2 or 3 games out of 24 games. Like that's why I'm concerned because that's not even a handful of games.
Yeah, but when you say concern in the sense that that Nimmo's done, like that Nimmo's not, not a good player anymore. Sometimes he's on his way down.
I think Nimmo tries to get away from himself way too much. Now I don't know if that's coaches in his ear. I don't know if he's just in his head. I feel like when Nimmo gets in his way, like if he tries to do something different or gets in his mind, I don't know what it is, but it's something that I don't like. It seems different about Nimmo. And
I'm with you on that. I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. I think it's more of a mental thing. I don't think it's a physical thing.
I mean, even Lindor has had 5-6 games where you can say, okay, he looks okay. Nimmo's had a couple of games at best. And
I mean, Rob, come on. I think you're stretching a little bit with your love for Lindor.
I don't think I am because
hold on.
Nimmo's got the big
Francisco Lindor went 4 for 5 yesterday. He has 20 hits. Nimmo has 16.
Yes.
What are we talking about here?
I agree. But
Nimmo has 4 hits tomorrow, and Lindor goes 0 for 4. And then I'll kill Lindor.
Then I'll kill Lindor because I'm consistent.
I'm not saying about killing. I'm just saying let's not act like Lindor's having this great,
No.
good games.
But you know what though? How many times have you heard Lindor on X and not Nimmo? Like Nimmo is not getting paid a ton of money as well. And it's like Nimmo, push it aside. Once again, another homegrown talent that we have to push away. Let's not hurt his feelings, but let's go after Lindor and everybody else. And not everybody else. See, that's again my problem. Nimmo has been bad most of the year, just like Lindor, but it's all been about Lindor. So, but Lindor can wreck a game. I don't think Nimmo can. That's why Nimmo's got to stay in his lane and do his job. And his job is to get on base for the big guys like Lindor.
Nimmo can do that too. Nimmo had 2 home runs against the Braves, who single-handedly won us that ball game.
And that was his best game of the year.
And yesterday was Lindor's best game of the year. But
he also had a 2 home run game. He had a big home run against the Dodgers.
Listen, I'm in the camp of this, guys. I know you guys are going back and forth. I'm in the camp of this. Nimmo, no doubt, on X and social media doesn't get as much attention when he's struggling as Francisco Lindor does. That's obvious for a lot of what I see on there. Nimmo gets on base and he impacts the game by getting on base with his walks, though. And that's something that Francisco Lindor, when he's struggling, doesn't do. I will say that. But why are we making it about Lindor versus Nimmo? Why can't we just say, listen, we need both of them to perform. Like, we need to hold them both accountable. Like, we shouldn't make this about Lindor versus Nimmo.
I just kill Lindor.
That's one thing I don't do. Somebody did the same thing to me earlier today. It was like, oh, some Pete and I'm like, dude, I'm not here about Pete and Lindor. I need them both to be better and more consistent. I need Brandon Nimmo to be more consistent. The same thing is when I'm thinking about, yo, I need you to be better. I'm not thinking, oh shit, Brandon Nimmo's getting whatever the hell he's getting. I don't even know what he's getting. I don't even know what his contract is. You understand what I'm saying? I don't give a damn. When I'm killing Joey Wendell, I don't give a shit that you're one of the least paid players. That doesn't matter to me. You're a ball player. There are certain expectations because of what you've done, right? You've built your expectations with what you've done on the field. So I expect you to play up to that level. When you don't, I'm going to speak on it, regardless of what you get paid. And it's not about pitting these guys against each other. I agree with Chris 1,000%. I hate doing that. No, I need them all to be better. What I can't do is speak about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players at the same time. So if right now I'm saying, yo, Brandon Nimmo needs to be better, don't tell me, oh, but how about this guy? Okay, when it's time to talk about that guy, we'll talk about that guy. But I can only talk about one guy at a time or two guys at a time. Like, just because I say Brandon Nimmo needs to be better doesn't mean I don't think Pete Alonso needs to be better and stop fucking hitting solo home runs and hitting when his guys on base.
That's an issue.
You know what I'm saying?
That's an issue.
Doesn't mean that I don't think fucking I don't know. I don't even know who I could think of that could be better right now because they're all kind of.
This is a testament. I think that this is a testament, though, off this point that the Mets really still haven't gelled. They're 13-11, but they still haven't gelled as an offense together. So, like, once we do, hopefully we do at some point, hopefully that gelling factor is JD Martinez, then this lineup is going to be even more dangerous than it already is. We've seen this lineup put 6, 7, 8 runs up against good teams like the Braves and Dodgers. So imagine when all these guys, Nimmo, Lindor, Pete Alonso, JD Martinez, Francisco Alvarez, when we get him back, imagine how good this lineup is going to be set up when all these guys start performing at the top of their levels. That's the scary thing here is that we've obviously seen glimpses, a slow start, a bad 2 games against the Dodgers where the offense has gone cold. But at the top of their game, we've seen how dangerous this Mets lineup can be, right? Even with a shitty 8-9 hitter, right? In Arias, Wendell, Nito, who cares who's out there at 8-9? But the first 6 guys, 7 guys that you're like, okay, these guys have a potential to do something great this season. And that's without JD Martinez already. And with a slumping Lindor until recently getting his average over 200. With a slumping Nimmo, whose average is still not at 200. So I think that's what my main point of this is. And to just reiterate that in the chat, listen, this offense, I feel like, is just like, we've got so much more left to like hope for these guys and just see from these guys.
I agree with that. And Hector brought up a good point with Pete Alonso's solo home runs. He needs to start hitting home runs with men on base. He will eventually, but he needs to start doing that too because
and not just this year, Rob. This is like something that I've said for a while now. And Carlos, your wife is right. Tell your wife she's right. He only hits solo shots, damn it.
Yeah, and you know, it's a big problem because when he's your biggest RBI guy, he's your biggest power guy. You need guys on base for him, and that's why even with Lindor. So I'm not going to leave him out of this. Marte's been doing his job, getting on base and doing everything. But that's why Nimmo and Lindor. Now Lindor's never had a big on base percentage in his career. So people talking about him on base, he's never had that in his career. He was never that type of player. He was a leadoff hitter, but his on base was never good. Maybe his first couple of years when he was very young with the Guardians or Indians at the time, but he's not an on base guy, not anymore. At least for the last 5-6 years, he hasn't been. But Nimmo is still the on base guy, along with Marte, who needs to get on base because let's be honest, Alonso hits a lot of solo home runs because guess who's not getting on base? The guys in front of him, and that's the combination of all 3 of those guys.
Let me ask you guys though something, Rob, because you're talking about this on base stuff, and I've mentioned this before in a couple of the roundtables, and I don't understand this whole thing about batting average doesn't matter as long as your on base is good, right? So I look at Brandon Nimmo because I heard Gary Cohen say this I think it was yesterday. Oh well, Brandon Nimmo's hitting one blah blah, but his on base percentage is great at 358, and now at whatever it's 358 now. I don't give a crap about that.
Yeah,
I don't care about that. Like, yeah, it's great that you get a walker here and there and stuff. Hit the damn ball. This dude is batting 186. And I'm supposed to be happy because on base is 350. And that's what I'm talking about. Like guys talk. So if he was hitting 300. Let's say he's Brandon Nimmo usually hits about 270, 280. Let's say he was hitting 280 right now, but his on base was 320 something. That's a bad thing?
No, because he got on base other ways too. And I know this.
Like, I don't understand that. Like, I would rather him hit 380 and have that on base a little bit lower, because maybe by him hitting the ball help him driving a run, or he doesn't steal bases, so him just getting a walk is not him getting a second. But maybe he hit a double and puts himself in scoring position for Pete to drive him in without having to hit a damn home run.
And that's why I said that Nimmo impacts the game more ways than just hitting a baseball. That's why I said that to you, Rob. Are we really expecting Nimmo to go 186 for the entire season? I'm pretty sure that that's not going to be his.
I hope not.
I can confidently. Rob, if you would like to bet on this, I would love to do this. He's not hitting below 200 for the entire season. I'm fairly confident he's going to get up there in the 250, 260 range, maybe even beyond that. So that's going to sort itself out, in my honest opinion. Let's knock on some wood here, because we hope that's the case, right? But if I was a betting man, like, I would put a bet on that. But like I said, he impacts the game as a leadoff hitter more ways than not by getting on base. So I think that both can be said as important. But like, if you have a guy that doesn't draw walks and doesn't get on base when he's slumping, right? Lindor wasn't doing that. And a lot of people killed him for that. So it's like, how can you impact the game? And Lindor impacts the game because of defense, right? If he's not swinging a hot stick, you know that his defense is going to be on par. Ricardo's saying that Nimmo's struggling defensively in left field as well early on the season. So, like, my thing is with all these players, how do you impact the game? Okay, your batting average to start the season is 190, it's 180, whatever. Okay, I have confidence that hopefully it's not going to be that 2 months from now, 1 month from now. And I understand you don't want a slow start. I'm never going to advocate for a slow start, but how do you impact this team beyond just your hitting? And if you can't, if that's the only way you impact this team at your highest, then you're a one-dimensional ball player. And I'm sorry, the Mets don't need more of that. The Mets need more 2D, 3D guys. And that's what I advocate for when I assess a player. So I'm just saying, we can draw conclusions a couple months from now, and I bet you the same picture is not going to be the same picture. We're going to be talking about a completely different picture of Lindor, of Alonso, of Nimmo, hopefully for the better. But we can come back and use this roundtable as a good talking point, a good starting point, because guess what? We got receipts of it.
Yeah, we do got receipts.
Shout out to my guy M-Easy. Yo, M-Easy, and I do agree with you, man. I, for one, have spoken about it before. I worry about the Mets hitting at Citi Field. I think Citi Field gets in their heads. Brandon Nimmo has spoken about it. You know what I'm saying? And people kill Brandon Nimmo for speaking about it. See, Rob says that Brandon Nimmo catch no heat. Last year, I was in spaces. I was in places where Brandon Nimmo caught tons of heat. Brandon Nimmo got called selfish, even for his haircut. Because he got paid. He got called selfish. I was told that he was trying to take Starling Marte's shine because he was calling Marte off on a couple of fly balls. And who the hell did he think he is? But, you know, Brandon Nimmo doesn't catch criticism. I've heard plenty of Brandon Nimmo criticism. But, yeah.
Last year wasn't the year to criticize Nimmo, though.
Was that?
Last year wasn't a year to criticize Nimmo.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying, but I was the bad guy.
He shut me up last year. Like, in a bad season, he shut me up.
I thought he was actually the most consistent and probably like
absolutely
besides Senga, maybe the only bright spot for the year. Year was Brandon Nimmo.
Good year. Send your ass to left field because you're not playing center field anymore.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I forget who was it that made the comment. I thought he kind of struggled early on in left field trying to find himself.
Oh yeah, different angles. It's not easy.
I thought he was starting to feel comfortable in center field and stuff. So. I don't know, but are we gonna talk about? I don't know. We said we were gonna try to get out of here in an hour.
Yeah. I mean, I want to get everybody out of here, you know, because I know the NFL draft is big and everybody's they're starting to talk about trades.
About these Knicks.
Like yeah, those Knicks too. That's starting in 15 minutes or so. But yeah, let's finish it up about the whole entire homestand. The Mets face the Cubs after this. If you notice today, Pete Crow-Armstrong hit his first at bat, hit a home run for the Cubs. We all know about that Javi Baez trade. That was a great trade for the Mets, by the way. Pete Crow-Armstrong, we're going to see him at Citi Field. We'll know he'll hit about 500 against us, probably a couple of home runs, because that's what happens when everybody that wants to kill us plays the Mets. But I think this is a homestand where the Mets need to show up at home. And Hector talked about it. Easy talked about it in the chat. At home, the Mets have struggled offensively. Not just offensively. They have struggled at home to win ball games. Right now, the Mets are better on the road this season than they are at home, and it's not even close. So get back home. You're going to have fans here. It's getting a little warmer in New York. I think so because I'm not there anymore, but Hector is there. I think it's getting a little bit better, the weather. It's Friday. It's a weekend series against the Cardinals. Met fans, show up. I don't want to hear people, oh, there's nobody sitting in 534. Like, show up. Like, so don't sit there. Like, I know from 532 to 535, those seats suck. Right? You can't see half the field. I understand that. Don't sit there. Go to a game. Get a beer. Go to Dollar Hot Dog Night. What is it, Saturday? Go to Dollar Hot Dog Night.
I think that's Sunday. I don't know.
Sure, why not? Go there too. Why not? Get an $18 beer. Get a $12 hot dog, on other days. Buy a soda. Buy a souvenir cup. Buy a City Connect jersey. Go to the fucking game. I'm sick and tired of everybody all over media, people on X. Oh, there's nobody at the game. Well, you know what? It's starting to be talked about more and more. And I don't care about people talking. It's just that I want to see the Met fans go. I don't want to hear you complain and bitch and moan, and yet you're not really supporting the team the way you should. Like, I'm not saying you're going to have the money to go to games all the time. I understand that. Money's tight. I completely understand that. But you know what? There's a $5 ticket on TickPick right now that you can go, and even if you buy a seat in 535, in section 535, you will find another seat somewhere else. So go to a game. Enjoy the game. Like, I don't want to hear people complaining about that. And it makes the diehard Met fans who go to games and live and die like us actually, it makes us look bad too. It's like, whoa, me and Hector were at that doubleheader freezing our asses off when there was like 500 people in the ballpark against Detroit. Like, I'm not expecting people to go that day, but it was the middle of the day. But like, go to the games, guys. And I'm sorry I go crazy with that, but it's annoying me because I talked about it. I think it was 2022 when Yankee fans took over Citi Field, even though the Mets were really well. I bitched and moaned. I went to both games. Game 1 against the Yankees pissed me off. Like, there should be no reason why Yankee fans take over Citi Field, right? The Mets were one of the best teams in baseball, and it sounded like Yankee Stadium when the Yankees took a lead and when Volpe stole home. Or Gleyber Torres stole home. Like, go to the game. Like, it's not as expensive as a lot of people are talking about. TickPick, SeatGeek, whatever you want to go, StubHub, wherever. You can find a $5 seat and spend $30 on tickets for 4 people. Trust me, guys. You don't have to go on Mets.com and put the actual ticket price and pay that much. I'm sorry I went on that rant, guys, but Chris, give me your final thoughts.
No, you're good. Are we going to neglect to talk about JD?
Sure. Hector, have fun.
No, I'm just saying, like...
Well, you're right.
We're not looking forward to see what this guy is going to give us. And obviously, man, we got to give him time. Someone said people are going to go nuts and going to have a short leash on JD Martinez. I think that would be... What do you call it?
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen if he starts off slow. It's gonna.
But exactly, that's what we do, though. That's what New York fans do. We got a short leash for everybody. But listen, I'm actually looking forward to it. Finally, see what he brings, and to see what it does to the lineup. A lineup that will now. Too bad it's missing Alvarez, but it will now get longer. And I'm interested to see where they're gonna slot JD Martinez. We talked about where do you put him. And again, Alvarez is not there now, so I think it's a little easier. Yeah, Rob, I agree. I think you put him right there in 5 and just drop everybody down a bit. Brett. Oh my God, the third baseman. He'll drop. Yeah, Beatty at 6. I was gonna say Brett Beatty. For some reason, I said, "Oh, that's not his name." What's wrong with me? Drop him down to 6 because he's been hitting 5, and that'll just make us even deeper. So I'm actually looking forward to see what he's going to do, to see what he does to the other guys, to see what now that influence that we talked about that he may be able to have on Pete and all of these guys, the young guys. I want to see how that plays out and see how that affects the team and maybe boost our runs per game up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because that also helps out the pitching. More runs we score, it helps out the pitching. It helps out in a game that we don't have to use our main relievers because we're still fighting to win this game. No, it's a little bit of a laugher now. So we get to throw in whoever that guy is, Sean Reed Foley. Go out there, throw 2-3 innings. We don't give a damn about you for a couple of days, you know?
Listen, this is my final thoughts. JD Martinez is going to be a blessing for this team. Also, final thoughts here on this homestand. Give your pitchers breathing room and give them a lead early.
Yes.
Please do not let them sit there for 4 or 5 innings pitching to a 0-1 ball game, and you're expecting them to hold down the fort. We already talked about these pitchers are going to give you performances that they give up 3 or 4 runs, and that's good for this rotation because it's average, right? I'm just going to say that right now. Call a spade a spade. Get these guys run support and get them early because that's what creates comfort level. Like you said, Hector, it's going to help the pitching staff. 2, JD Martinez is absolutely going to bat 5th, and that creates all the world of a difference of a lineup based off of what the Mets have right now. You have the luxury, even without Alvarez, to bat Beatty 6th if you want. You have McNeil there in the 7th spot. And then, my point on Tyrone Taylor becomes your 8th hitter consistently in my eyes. Don't give me JD Stewart on an off day, whatever, give Tyrone Taylor a break. Okay, cool. But Tyrone Taylor in this lineup as an 8th hitter, and you could throw Nito out there. I don't care. I'll take the automatic out of Nito and swinging at balls in the dirt, acting like he has eye issues still. I don't care about that. A 1 through 8, a competent 1 through 8 like that, we're going to be just fine. Let's go Mets. Like I said, tough NL Central opponents. I don't take the Cardinals lightly ever, no matter what their schedule is. I think on paper they still have a solid enough roster. I need the Mets to continue to beat up on the NL Central teams. We did it to Pittsburgh. I guess Cincinnati, we also took 2 of 3, right? Continue that trend. Let's go get it. And because these games are important, man. I know they're non-division games, but they're important. Like, you can't piss away these series like early, especially with the Phillies and the Braves playing great baseball still. We're playing great baseball, but those 2 teams at the top of the NL East are still playing great baseball equivalently. And we actually dropped a couple games in the standings, not to be a standings watcher in April, but they're playing lights out baseball over there. To keep pace, you need to continue stacking these series wins. That's all I got. Jump on them early and often and take game 1 on Apple TV Plus, Jose Buto versus Miles Michaels. Take advantage.
Apple TV Plus was making me go to the game Friday night because I refuse to pay for anything else to watch this damn team. I pay for cable for a damn reason. I'm not paying for that.
And you know what? And, the interesting thing is the fact that the Mets, with the whole offense not struggling at Citi Field and everything else, I would like to see the offense get going, right? Pete Alonso's going to have protection now. No more excuses for him. But, again, we just have to wait and see right now. I do agree everything what Chris said here. But let's shout out our Knicks tonight. They're going to go to Philly and beat their asses and go up 3-0. We got the Rangers tomorrow as well. Nobody really cares about the Islanders. So we won't talk about them.
Hey, Carlos, I did the free for a week already, Carlos. I'm sorry. I did the free Apple for a week already. I can't do it again, man.
All right, guys. So Mets tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Cardinals. Let's go Knicks. Let's go Rangers. Let's go Mets, of course. With that said, guys, we'll see you next time. You'll see me and Chris.
Can I say one thing, Rob? Can I say one thing?
Again.
Listen, guys, I appreciate, because this happens, and you guys may do it on your own time and stuff, and not saying that I won't either, but I appreciate that we can have a conversation about baseball and the Mets and this team and not get bogged down in numbers. You know what I'm saying? And just numbers, this, numbers, that, because it drives me crazy. Not that numbers don't matter, but I sometimes I wonder if people watch the games when they talk about numbers. But I am gonna talk about numbers that stand out to me. Starling Marte leads the team in hits, guys. Starling Marte leads the team in hits. That's incredible. We talk about Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso, who leads the team in home runs with 7, only has 12 damn RBIs. The same as Marte. The same as Brandon Nimmo, who we're killing, actually has more RBI than Pete Alonso.
15, right?
15 RBIs for Brandon Nimmo. Unbelievable. And Lindor with 10. So, yeah.
But that on base, though. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, but it's
all right, guys.
Let's go,
We'll see you next time, guys. Let's go Mets. Let's go Rangers. Let's go Knicks. We'll see you next time, guys. Roundtable out. Have a great night, guys.
Peace.
Yeah, let's go Mets.